was a way that you could live a life that focused on wellness? What if there was a way that your life could be focused on the arts? What if I told you there was a way for your life and the industry to focus on wellness and the arts together?
Hi, I'm Kate Glasheen, and that lovely lady is my guest today, Torie Wiggins. You can learn more about her at TorieWiggins.com, and if you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe below. Let's get started. Torie is an actor, instructor, director, and voiceover artist. She's also founder and CEO of Well Arts Cincinnati, where wellness and the arts meet to create a unique experience for artists by artists. Torie and I have known each other for over a decade, but we've only ever gotten to work together once on a production that I was dialect coaching and she was acting in. So I'm excited to get to work with her again today on a very important topic. Torie, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about this very important topic of this need to not glamorize overworking. I think we've known this in the performing arts for a while, that this is an issue, but it seems like industries just across the board are starting to recognize that we need to stop wearing long hours and no sleep and forgetting to eat and all of these things as badges of honor. So I know that's part of why I started this channel, to do whatever I can do for our arts industry. I know your company is called Well Arts Cincinnati, and so I have a feeling you have a lot of thoughts on this topic.
Yes, I do.
And so what caused you to start Well Arts, and just what are your general thoughts?
So one of the reasons I started Well Arts Cincinnati is because I feel like our industry really, for some odd reason, prides itself on beating you down before it builds you back up, right? The worth of your success is based on like how hard it was for you to get there or what you've been through. And I really wanted to change that narrative, because what I started to notice was that I was starting to wear my trauma as a badge of honor. So, I was so broke. I was having hunger pains. I was eating, hot buttered noodles with salt and pepper for weeks because I was auditioning and I didn't book anything yet. And, these stories of triumph were really things that I was starting to see come back to haunt me in a way that I really wasn't happy with. They're just little things that I do now where I'm like, oh, wow, this is trauma response. This is because I spent years being a starving artist because I thought somehow that was a badge of honor, and it wasn't. And so now I find, later in my career, now that I've gotten some things under my belt, I find that I'm still acting out of this trauma response. I'm having to break little habits that I've picked up as a result of trying to be a starving artist. So I really started Well Arts so that I could start with the training, letting artists know that their wellness needs to be a priority and that it actually enhances your skill set. It actually allows you to safely navigate these acting methods and these ways of creating characters, having emotional intelligence before going into a scene or anything like that is so helpful. And so just kind of wanting to like really get in at the bottom there with the training where people are starting to kind of curate their craft and just help them understand that like moving from a perspective of wellness and moving through this industry and this craft, knowing that it's okay for you to be okay while you're doing it was something I really wanted to start and really kind of just institute from the ground up.
And so you said that, you've experienced this yourself. And so, can you speak to a time when you felt the pressure to be the starving artist, or the pressure to be working harder and more intensely and taking every single job that you could find and all of that in your own career? Again, this pressure, this glamour of hustle, driving yourself into the ground.
Absolutely. I can take it all the way back to when I was just a young actor in New York. I remember I was in between jobs. I was temping and bartending, right? So I'm already up all night. In New York, the bars don't close until 4 a.m. And God forbid I have an audition after 10 a.m. It was just like, oh my God. But I remember just being really down on my luck. And too prideful, which is another part of the wellness journey, to like ask for the help that I needed financially. I remember just being like, okay, I think I have one pack of ramen left. I've got like some orange juice or apple juice or one of the juices. And I was like, I think I have some bread. I can make peanut butter and jelly. I'm trying to like plan my meals for the next day. And I'm coming home from my temp job, which paid like 2 cents an hour. And I'm coming home from my temp job to get dressed for my bartending job. So at this point, if I get an audition, I have to do it on like my lunch break of my temp job, but that was a risk I had to take. So even just that, trying to survive. And I remember coming home and opening my mailbox and getting like a residual check from a commercial I had done like a year before. And I was in the vestibule of my apartment building and I opened the door. I was behind on my rent. I opened the door and opened the mailbox door. I opened the mailbox door and saw this residual check in there, and I just fell onto the steps and started bawling. I mean, I cried my eyes out. I couldn't even enjoy this money because it didn't mean that I was building steps to success and some type of financial security. It meant that I wouldn't be evicted and that I could eat something other than salty carbs. And that is just a moment, Kate, where I was like, this can't be how it is every single time while I'm waiting to get like a big break, right? And I remember even just since I've been in Cincinnati, I've been very fortunate to have a fair amount of success here. But I remember feeling like I had to take every single gig I was offered because I was the hot commodity when I first got here. I was offered a lot of work. And I remember at one point I was doing 2 shows at once. I was, rehearsing during the day and performing one at night, and adjunct teaching at a university and taking a little, a voiceover gig here and a little, a commercial here with the local agency. And I was so burnt out, but I felt like I should be so grateful for the opportunities that I couldn't turn anything down. And also because I felt like, what if one day they all stop and then I'm going to be broke forever and I have to build up all of this money, And so that mindset, even just feeling like I couldn't say no to anything, was so unhealthy.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of actors struggle with that. There's so many of us trying to get what is just not enough opportunities. And so you feel that pressure to take anything that comes your way and to push yourself too far. And I think it's a real problem. Across the industry. So, and not just with the in front of the camera or on stage performers, it happens with technicians and directors and everybody who's involved. How do you decide what projects to take? Because, a lot of the time, part of the problem is that these are all things that we want to do, right? Sometimes it's like in your New York experience, you had to take the temp job and the bartending job just to make ends meet and not be evicted. And so that's not the ideal situation, but a great problem to have is too much work. And when it's things you really want to do, how do you decide what's worth it? How do you balance your work life with having the rest of your life? Because your relationships are important and your own health and wellness is important.
A big part of that, and I will tell you that even the biggest stars suffer from this, right? Is the idea that if you don't say yes to this thing, that another opportunity like it will never come up again. 2 things can be true. One thing is, if that opportunity, that particular one never comes up again, it's okay. There will be others like it. There will be others better than that. There will be ones just as good. And it's okay. It's okay. You are not going to stop acting or performing because you missed out on one really cool opportunity. So if you're in a place where you can't take on any more things, you have to really, really affirm for yourself that for your own personal health and wellness, you cannot take this gig right now. And that when you can, something will be there. And if not, then you focus on something else. Even the biggest artists, like the biggest famous celebrities, they all suffer from this. So that it's normal to feel that way, but you have to really, really, really try to push past that.
And so what healthy habits do you personally put in place?
One of the healthy habits that I put in place is giving myself some grace. This means being okay with saying no to opportunities that I think are once in a lifetime opportunities. It doesn't matter. If I can't handle it right now, I can't handle it right now. Because what you don't want to do is fudge up this once in a lifetime opportunity because you're overstretched, right? Another healthy habit that I do is I learn how to manage my time. As a freelance artist, this looks different than what it looks like for people with corporate jobs, 9 to 5s, even other people in the theater and in our industry. So you really have to sit down and decide for yourself what your day looks like. And once you have hit the limit to what you can do in a day, in a week, you have to say no. There are ways you can say no to ensure that, there's no ill feelings involved. You definitely want to be kept in mind for other things. But I think in this day and era that we're in, I think people really respect the idea that you are expressing desire to do it, but you just can't, you don't have the capacity right now. And I can't imagine anybody would be like, ugh, but I mean, even if they do, then those aren't people that you necessarily want to work with anyway. Another way that I try to incorporate healthy habits, specifically when I'm working with clients, but also for myself, is just making sure that health and wellness always has a place in my work. If I'm trying to do a self-tape and I'm tired, I'm irritable, my eyes are dry, I'm having allergic reactions or allergies or anything like that, I wait. Giving myself enough time to do things as best you can. Even if you have like a quick turnaround, just saying, okay, I'm going to get some rest, get up early in the morning and do this and submit it, as opposed to, if I'm submitting like a voiceover thing, making sure that, okay, I have to record tomorrow. So I'm going to make sure that I'm hydrated 2 hours before I start recording to make sure that I sound my best. Not performing on E, even when I'm not doing it live, I think is a really a healthy habit to get into. Making sure that mentally I'm in a good place to do something. And if I'm not, trying to figure out when I can fit that in. I think those are things that as actors and performers, we just think that we're supposed to be on call and on the go all the time. You need to be in a place where you can give your best performance. I think just really kind of being self-aware and tuning into that every time you get ready to step into a creative space is key.
And that really does speak to our need to listen to our bodies and our minds. These are our instruments as actors, and I think it's incredible how often we ignore what our instrument is telling us it needs. And it's not just difficult to be creative or do your best work if you're exhausted or if you're dehydrated. Sometimes it's impossible. Like the mic doesn't lie, right? With voiceover work, you've got to be hydrated and conditioned, and hopefully the allergies aren't kicking in. And so yeah, being really aware of what your body is telling you and what your mind is telling you as far as rest and restoration and all of that is super, super important. Any other pro tips or habits that you could offer the viewers on ways that you have found balance in your life, across all the areas, the professional, work, relationships, all of that?
Yes. Here is a tip that I got. It's not even a tip. It is like something that has become a way of life to me. A really good friend of mine offered me this kind of thing that you can do that can really help you stay in tune with your health and your wellness as you continue to navigate an industry that can be very, very time consuming. So this is what I like to call the life budget. And I'm not sure if he called it that or not, but when we talked through it, I thought this was an appropriate name. So this is called the life budget. And basically you're going to budget out your time in your life the same way you would your finances. This is really helpful for freelance artists because this budget can be reevaluated every month. It can be reevaluated every week. And I like to use percentages because it's easier for me. So let's say for the month of April, I want to budget my life so that I have a lot of things creatively that I need to do on my own time, but I don't have a lot of things planned. So I don't have rehearsals per se in April. I don't have a whole lot of deadlines. So let's say I want to make sure that at least 50% of my time is spent on my home. So that could mean remodeling things, deep cleaning things, spring cleaning things. That includes time with my husband and my dog, because I have it in April to give. So let's say I'm going to spend 50% on my home life. So that means that I'm going to budget out 50% of my time for the month of April just for things that are happening inside my home. Quality time with my husband, playing with my dog, walking outside, those types of things. Then I'm going to spend 35% creatively. That's writing, outlining my podcast, working on plays that I'm writing, anything that I'm doing creatively that's on my time, I'm going to spend that time on that. Then I'll spend another 10% on future deadlines. So getting a head start on things that might be due in May or June or even beyond that, getting a head start on that. And then I'll spend another 10% with daily tasks. So because I don't have anything pressing, I want to leave some time in case somebody in the month of April says, hey, can you do this for me in 2 weeks? Can I get this done? This is checking emails. This is, and that the numbers might be off, maybe I do 40% to add another 10 to, 40% with home life to add another 10 to work if it starts to pick up. But really doing that, and you can even do this daily. You can do your life budget like, okay, tomorrow's budget, I'm going to spend 60% of my time writing because I have the time to do it tomorrow. But on Friday, I have a lot of coachings, so I can't spend that much time writing, but also Friday night is date night. So you can even kind of adjust your budget daily, weekly, monthly, but that has really, really helped me to step back and look at the things that I'm spending my time and energy on, which is a huge part of your personal wellness journey. Making sure that all of your time is not spent on your career. Because the truth is, even if you're really passionate about what you do artistically, it's not your livelihood. It's not everything about you. It's not your whole life. And I think sometimes it can be really disturbing to your own natural order to think that your artistic endeavors are your life. It's something I hear my students say all the time. My art is my life. Acting is my life. And that cannot be true. It just can't be. The thing that you make money at can't be your entire livelihood. That is not how we're built as humans. That's not our human condition or our human nature. One month I might say, you know what? I really want to try to write some poetry. I'm a bad poet, but this could be something you could do, right? And so you want to budget out time to be able to creatively be what you want to be and do what you want to do without worrying about spending time that you should be spending elsewhere. Because that's something I do a lot. I feel like when I do something for me, I'm like, I should be practicing a monologue right now. And I just really want to help people move away from that so that they can give everything ample time and not feel like that guilt or shame that they're not making their art their life.
That makes perfect sense. And it really is a brilliant way of looking at it for freelance artists, which, in some way or another, I think most artists are freelance in some capacity, even if they have sort of a steady day gig that they do. There's always so much to be managing. And so that makes a lot of sense. And this idea that your value or your worth only lies in your career and what you're achieving, that's all part of this hustle culture and this overwork, this glamorizing of overwork that we need to get out of the zeitgeist. It's time for that myth to be over. And I love the budgeting. I love the idea that if you've got it all planned out, you don't have to have that guilt or shame about not working on a particular thing because you'll work on it when you have a lot of the time for it. So it's like, same thing like you mentioned earlier with budgeting your finances. It's okay to spend this money on something frivolous because you've budgeted the money for the things the bills that must get paid and that sort of thing. So you don't need to feel guilty about buying a shirt you don't really need, right? So I think it makes perfect sense, and I love that. So that's fantastic.
And you don't have to do it in percentages. You can use literal hours. Like you can say, I'm going to allow myself 6 hours this week to write. So that could be 3 hours one day and 3 hours another day, and you've got 5 more days to do other things. That could be an hour one day, an hour another day until you can get a larger chunk. So you don't even have to do it in percentages. You can do it in like hours if you want. You could do it in days if you want, if that's better for you. But I have just noticed that it has really helped me a lot. And it just, you are more than your resume. You really, really are. And we have to stop defining, like as you said, we have to stop defining our worth by what we've done and what we're going to do on stage or in the booth. It's just not a healthy way to live. It's not a healthy perspective.
Exactly. And I'm so glad that you've had this revelation. I've had this revelation. It seems like people are really waking up to this more and more. And so I'm so glad that it's getting talked about, and hopefully actual true change will now start to happen. because it's unsustainable. People are working too hard, certainly in the arts, I think in just about every industry, and I'm really glad that people are starting to really understand that and want to change it. I was wondering if you would do one more little game with me. I have 3 little rapid fire questions that are not too personal or anything like that, but I just about your own habits and what's important and all of that. So would you be willing to answer those with me?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
Number 1, when things are crazy, when you have a lot going on, what is the one healthy habit that you will not let slide?
Water intake.
Gotta be hydrated, absolutely. Excellent. Okay, next one, number 2. So I love ice cream and chocolate and all kinds of food-related treats, but I'm curious, because I don't think it gets talked about as often, what is your favorite non-food related treat for yourself? Something nice you do for you?
Stickers.
Stickers.
Yes, I'm a planner girl. So I live and die by my planner because my schedule is so hectic. But when I open up a page, even if I'm busy, if there are colors and stickers on the page, I am instantly more excited about all the things I have to do.
I love that. That's awesome. Okay, and number 3, what is your favorite way to challenge yourself?
My favorite way to challenge myself is to tap into my multi-hyphenated labels. So I consider myself to be a multi-hyphenated artist, but the ones that I don't spend as much time on, like writing, I really try to put in my life budget time to do that so that I can continue to push past my comfort zone.
Awesome. I love it. That's great. Well, thank you so much for all of the wisdom that you shared, all of the great tips and tools, and I love the life budgeting. That's fantastic. And for sharing your journey with us. Thank you so much for joining me today, Torie.
Thank you for having me, Kate. It's always a pleasure.